Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to the channel. This is Red Dissection and I'm breaking down and deconstructing Manchester United exciting victory against Aston Villa. An unexpected result, certainly at half time when United were 2 goals down and were reeling really. They had played well, to be honest. Even in the first half, United had chances and they were dangerous on the counter attack. I don't know why Aston Villa was so naive, especially in the second half when they were already 2-0 up, to play with this really dangerous high line. It is high risk, high reward, and they have reaped the reward, sitting at third position in the Premier League. But once you are 2-0 up already at Old Trafford, which is historically a tough fixture for Aston Villa, we should have just battened down the hatches and they actually played into our hands. And with Rashford, Garnacho, and Hojlund, who have plenty of pace to go and run behind their defense. Even the likes of Eriksen and Bruno were making runs from the deep. So it was a dangerous ploy, and to a great degree, Aston Villa played into our game and were trapped in the tactics of Ten Hag, which Ten Hag always plays this kind of formation with one sitting pivot deep line midfielder in Kobe Mainu. And in this match against this opposition, it was perfect. The tactics were perfect because Unai Emery didn't change his ploy. He could have easily, asked his defense to play in a mid block, if not a low block, and let United come and hit us on the counter attack with their pace of Ollie Watkins and Bailey, and also brought in Diaby, but they didn't do it. It was a tinge of naivety there, or arrogance, you could say. But United did deserve to win this match, even when they were 2-0 down. It was down to defensive mistakes and clangers from Onana, and we thoroughly deserve to be victorious in this match. Coming to statistics, Aston Villa had marginally more of the ball, but we were more dangerous. In terms of big chances, they had one more big chance than us, which they missed. Both the teams took their one big chance. It was mainly down to our counterattacks and our press, which worked really well in this match. The likes of Bruno and especially Eriksen. I mean, you have to give credit to Eriksen because he is not physically. Nobody would expect Eriksen to physically compete with the likes of Douglas Luiz, but Eriksen was exceptional, especially in his pressing part. Obviously, tracking back, he is still a liability, but he was really great at pressing. Bruno won the ball for the first goal and was involved in the second and third goal as well. But overall, his game, suffers from the same limitations. Garnacho was exceptional and clinical, especially in the second half. I think he could have squared the ball a couple of more times for the likes of Rashford or even Hojlund, but he took his goal well. Rashford, I think he was the main man. He was the biggest threat we had, and he seemed to be getting into his rhythm and got his confidence back. The disallowed goal was a good ball from Rashford to pick Garnacho out. A good finish for him. It was a close call, but at first sight, I thought that it was offside, and it turned out to be that. But that goal so early in the second half, which was chalked off, it gave us that boost and that belief that we can actually score. And we managed to score quite soon after that. Second goal also came from the wing. We were really dangerous on the flanks with both our wide players running behind the defense, sometimes between the centre back and fullback, sometimes beyond the fullback or on the outside of the fullback. That was nice to see. Obviously, the injury to Dinia, their left full back, exacerbated the mess they were in, because I think Alex Moreno wasn't ready for the match, and especially the intensity with which Garnacho was playing on the night. So that was something that worked in his favor. But obviously, we took our chances well, and obviously, Hojlund's goal, the winner, it was a well taken goal, an instinctive finish. I think with the kind of rut he's been in, it's these kind of moments, these instinctive, impulsive moments where you just have to, trust your technique and go for it, and you don't have to think too much about how to take that goal or how to take the opportunity. And that worked well for him. The outpour of emotions was clear to see. It remains to be seen whether he can build on this, because his overall game wasn't good. I mean, he was struggling throughout the match. The wide players were doing well, but he himself was isolated in a lot of ways, and his touch wasn't sharp. His hold up play wasn't good. But this goal should give him more confidence. And against Nottingham Forest, we'll need him because Forest won against Newcastle, and they have loads of pace in their team. And with inform Alanga and Wood, who just scored a hat trick, it will be a tough match for Manchester United. Coming to play ratings, I have to give low score to Onana. The first two goals, especially the first one, is his mistake. He was flustered with Bailey's antics and histrionics, and you can see that keeping concentration and focus is something that comes difficult for him, and he can have these lapses of concentration and concede some easy goals. Second goal was defensive howler, but also Onana was stuck to his goal line. This is something that we complain about David De Gea, that he never comes to claim the crosses, and Onana has shown the same flaws. So not a good game for Onana. Aaron Bissaka was solid. I mean, in defense as well as in possession of the ball, he was flawless to a degree. About reading of the game, positional awareness, you could see that he is sometimes found out, and he struggles to track back sometimes and just ambles because he has the recovery pace, and really waits for that last ditch attempt to hook the ball away from the opposition player. But he did well against Jacob Ramsey, who didn't have any chance against him. So a good game from Wan-Bissaka. Rafael Varane was back in his right centre back position, and he was exceptional. He was a true leader. With Johnny Evans, they seem to have that experience. Both of them have this partnership with decades of experience playing at the top level, especially for Varane, who's won multiple Champions League, and he was exceptional. Ollie Watkins, we didn't even see him being involved in any kind of play. He didn't trouble our defense, and it was a lot of it was down to Rafael Varane, who has that pace to cover for the likes of Johnny Evans, who is also exceptional in this match. So a good match for Varane. Johnny Evans was exceptional as well. He's continued his form since his comeback from injury. He was good on the ball. He wasn't flustered physically. He was competing with the likes of Ollie Watkins, even though they're like 8 or 10 years younger than him. And I mean, no complaints of Johnny Evans. We know his limitations, and it's ad hoc, stopgap arrangement right now. But certainly, he's doing the job for us, and he's bringing all his experience to the game, and even the dark arts, and yeah, he's been exceptional. A good game from Diogo Dalot as well. We've seen him play left back position against the likes of Mohamed Salah as well as Saka, and he's done well previously. Even today, he was against Leon Bailey, and he didn't give him much. He didn't give him any inch, to be honest. I can't remember any sequence of event where Bailey was clean through or was able to cleanly beat him. He did beat him a couple of times, but Dalo was able to recover, and overall a great performance from Dalo, especially considering that this is not his favorite position, especially considering Leon Bailey was playing against him. So a great game from Dalo. Coming to midfield, Kobe Mino, he grew into the match. To be honest, his first half wasn't great. Uh, I think he's got a lot of hype and a lot of steam behind him because obviously he's such a young player and our academy product. But I see a lot of flaws in his game, and especially in terms of his bravery on the ball. You can see that even though he's able to jinx pass opposition player and is press resistant to a degree, but he hardly plays the ball forward. I mean, he did play a good ball against Liverpool for Garnacho, but in this match in particular, he was playing too safe for me, especially because we were trying to get behind the defense. So it was more down to Christian Eriksen and likes of Bruno, who were giving those through balls. And there were so many opportunities where he could have played that ball, especially the crossfield ball, but he wasn't. And he was also ragdoll a bit by the likes of McGinn and Douglas Luiz, especially in the first half. But in second half, he was competing well. He was giving McGinn taste of his own medicine. He was winning fouls, and he was really being aggressive in the second half. So he grew into it, and suddenly a better performance in the second half from Christian Eriksen was great in the second half. In the first half, there were so many complaints against him. Obviously, his physical limitations is for everybody to see. It's very clear. But in the second half, what impressed me was even with his constraint, he was right in the face of Douglas Luiz and this center midfielders. He wasn't giving them any inch against Dendonker, who is physically more imposing than him. He was competing, and that's certainly a good thing to see. Obviously, his quality in the ball is apparent, and it was his and his inclusion into the team and return from his injury layoff has certainly boosted our attacking enterprise. And certainly, I like to see him start in more matches, and he'll get better, I'm sure, with more games under his belt. Alejandro Garnacho was the man of the match. I mean, he was scintillating, especially in the second half. Especially on the right hand side, we haven't seen him before, and this is what we've been talking about. We've asked Eric Ten Hag to play like the Pelistri because Garnacho was playing on the left, just to have the natural width and that option to just cut the ball across the box and give opportunities for the likes of Bruno Fernandes, Eriksen running into the box, even Rashford on the far post. That was quite clear in this match. His ability to turn and run through the space in midfield was something that we did take a lot of joy from and advantage from Aston Villa. Also his finishing was on point. He was clinical. Even with and he combined really well with the likes of Rashford, and you could see that he was comfortable playing on that wing, even though we haven't seen him play that on that wing ever before. So that was certainly an encouraging performance. I think he should stick to that wing and build on this performance. Bruno Fernandes was a mixed bag. I mean, he did contribute in all three goals, and he was especially in the second half was behind a lot of our good opportunities and attacking plays. But he is a liability for the first goal. He gave away a imbecilic foul, and this is the same kind of foul he gave against the likes of Galatasaray in the Champions League. He's just so petulant. Defensively and physically, he's just so easy to get past. And in the first half, Douglas Luiz and Dendonker was going past him easily. In the second half, especially down to Christian Eriksen, he was able to keep his position and keep that positional discipline, and he did go into the match. Obviously, with goals, he contributed in all three of them. Um, we know what we get from Bruno, and he's not going to change. The manager is going to drop him, so we are stuck with him. So it's like cost benefit analysis with him. If the good is more than the bad, then we accept it. But with his kind of temperament and inconsistency in terms of technical output, we are going to lose more matches than we're going to win, or drop more points against stronger teams. And we play against Tottenham in January, so we'll see if we can keep that momentum till then and get a victory against Nottingham Forest in the next match, and obviously begin in the FA Cup. Marcus Rashford was back to his back to his best, what he provides. I think creatively he has a lot more to offer than Garnacho does, because we could see on the first goal, even the goal that was chalked off for offside, final ball is certainly better than Garnacho's. He's a lot more experienced, of course. He's got a lot more experience of big matches as well, and he didn't get his goal, but he was the biggest threat, the most dangerous Manchester United player. And you could see Konza wasn't liking seeing Rashford running against him. He was going on the outside, coming on inside, and it was his final ball that was quite good to see the quality on it, especially the first goal. Inshallah, it continues for a long time to come. Rasmus Hojlund finally got his goal, a brilliant finish, instinctive, quality finish, and add to that a winner against a tough opponent in a tough match under dire circumstances. So sadly, a great goal to get, his first goal for Manchester United in the Premier League. His overall game wasn't anything to shout home about. He was erratic in his first touch. He was clumsy. Physically, he was manhandled with the likes of Diego Carlos, was he? Even though Carlos is in one of the better defenders of Aston Villa, but he was manhandling him to a degree. Longley was too smart for him as well. But when we got the first goal, you could see the confidence coming back into the players. It also rubbed off on him, and he was more confident in his attempts to control the ball. And he did play a few good passes, few good moves, and link ups with Rashford and Garnacho. this goal could be really important for him, but he needs to build on this, get another goal against Nottingham Forest, and bring some consistency in terms of his output and performances. And inshallah, he can build on this and get many more goals to come. Anthony came on in the second half. Didn't make a whole lot of difference. I mean, Rashford was more dangerous, and when he came on, when he came when he came in for Rashford, Garnacho went on the left hand side. We didn't see too much from him, but he was neat in possession. He was positionally aware and disciplined, but nothing exceptional for him. And he wasn't involved in any of the goals, and he wasn't involved in any of the chances that we created. So it was an okay performance, but nothing exceptional. McTominay came on from Mainu. He was completely invisible. I didn't even see him. He is not brave enough to come on the ball and claim that ball in midfield, and you could see him hiding away from it. And it was a typical McTominay performance. He usually gets a goal in one of his better performances, but he didn't get any chance in this one. He obviously brought more physicality, but it was more about keeping our shape and defending and not letting Aston Villa get an equalizer, and he did all right in that. Willie Kambala came in late. There was nothing demanded of him that much. I mean, he wasn't faced with any kind of threat directly. Obviously, this will give him more confidence. Well, playing with the likes of Varane and Johnny Evans, learning off of them. So nothing exceptional, but obviously he did his job, and he just needs to build on this. Whenever he gets another opportunity, just needs to build on his performance against West Ham and in this match. Dangor came on in the injury time. He was bright and boisterous. He had this youthful exuberance, buzzing all over the pitch, hard in tackles. That was good to see. Obviously, he's somebody we know that has quality on the ball, but he hasn't been given that kind of opportunity. And to be honest, there are so many players before him. Obviously, playing in a winning team brings another kind of confidence, and that should help him in the long run. Hyman Mabry came on in the dying minutes. Played on the wing, played up front when Garnacho went off. I think he did well. I think he was strong in terms of dribbling, and I think he did well to keep possession and irritate Aston Villa, who wanted the ball back. And he did well to keep the possession and invite challenges and fouls and free kicks. So he was important in terms of dissipating any kind of pressure that Aston Villa would have wanted to build, and I think he did well. Eric Ten Hag, I think he was mixed bag. If we don't get that early goal in the second half, I think this could have turned out to be ugly. It's the same tactics. Don't be fooled by the fact that he was any kind of tactical masterclass. It is the same very tactics. The fact that we played against a team that plays stupidly high in terms of their defensive line, and there wasn't too much pressure on the ball as well. I mean, they were pressing, but they were not that aggressive as with the likes of Newcastle. We've seen Aston Villa won playing in top gear. They were hardly in second gear, and we exploited the situation well. The goal conceded were down to individual mistakes or collective defensive mistakes. So yeah, and it's the pattern they keep on repeating. But the good thing is, player did show character, and they came into the match. They didn't let their heads drop, especially after the weekend loss against West Ham. So credit has to go to Ten Hag for that, for keeping the belief intact in his players. And the tactics weren't anything special. I think this is a yo-yo kind of or roller coaster kind of performances we have been seeing, and it remains to be seen what kind of Manchester United turn out against Nottingham Forest at City Ground, especially away from home. And if we can build on this, get a victory in that match, then we might have turned a corner. But until that happens, I have total reservations against Ten Hag. To be honest, this has been a terrible week for Manchester United. To see the fan base getting backstabbed by the likes of Jim Glazer, the Jimster, the Rat, and so many of them, mainly people who have that kind of British only and that xenophobic streak within them. They have been champing at the bits to get, British glazer within the club and not somebody from Middle East or a Muslim. So that is to be expected. And the kind of PR that has been coming out and the kind of revelry we have been seeing for something that is a travesty, to be honest. It's not surprising at all. I mean, it is something to be expected. This is how people. This is why the fan base has been in complete tatters, and it's an embarrassment, to be honest, to see so many people jump the ship and forget about Glazers throwing them out, and even the likes of Must and all the top Reds. They're a bunch of hypocrites anyway. Maybe on the Glazer payroll, I don't know, but that is a prevailing theory, and the actions speak louder than the words anyway. And no matter what PR spin comes, and what new rabbit out of the hat Jim Glazer brings, our stance is very clear, and he is responsible for keeping Glazers in. He is the one who has given them a lifeline, and the fan base. In the end, we get what we deserve, and this fan base deserves the likes of Jim Glazer and the Glazers. I mean, Glazers aren't the only problem. Glazers are symptomatic of the fan base they're ruling over, to be honest. It's so easy to spin people, brainwash them, use a bit of propaganda, bit of, whitewashing or certain facts, and, stimulate a sense of self-righteousness amongst people with, empty rhetoric of human rights and whatnot, which are just empty rhetoric, to be honest, hypocritical tools for the white supremacists to, continue with their exploitation of others. But that is not something surprising, and it is what it is. And we certainly won't hold back in terms of criticism and exposing the hypocrisy of this situation. And for months to come and for weeks ahead, we're certainly gonna keep the momentum in terms of exposing this, exposing all the so-called journalists who are glorified embedded PR agents. To be honest, it remains to be seen how long it takes to actually have that in place, and when we will cross the bridge when we get to it. We'll be back with the red prayer for the Nottingham Forest match. Please join us for that. Keep liking, commenting, and sharing the videos. We truly appreciate all the support and encouragement we get from all of you. So until we meet again, take care, do good, favor Palestinians and all the oppressed people all across the globe, for every man, woman, and child. Until then, Assalamu alaikum.